Hey, thank you for coming today. Guardians of Law. A lot of good information for you today. Appreciate everyone coming out. We're going to be dealing with some interesting topics. Basically, we're changing the reality that you can solve. It's all man-made rules that don't even apply to you. And we have some experts today. They're going to share all this. Now, I'd like to welcome to the stage Rob Johnson. Come up here, Rob. Now, Rob, the name of the book you wrote is?
The name of the book is Sui Juris, the Law of Full Age, Your Sovereign Claim to Unalienable Individual Rights.
All right. Is Dan still here? Dan Bluchek?
No.
No. Okay. Okay, at this time I'll turn the floor over to Rob. Rob, take us away.
Boot my notes up here real quick. Is there a password for this computer? It's mine. Oh, it's yours? I'm sorry, I was going to use it. If that's okay. Okay. Essentially, I'm here today to share a perspective of law, a perspective that dates back to the founding of our country, one that has been overrun by essentially man-made rules that don't apply to anyone, unless you consent to that. The first thing I think that's important to touch upon is our form of government. There are too many people in this country who believe that we actually exist in a democracy. That is not true. It's the farthest thing from the truth. Our founding fathers abhorred democracy. What they gave us is a self-governing constitutional republic, where each individual here is equal to the King of England that we defeated. Democracy in its true form is basically vox populi, vox dei. The voice of the majority is the voice of God, the rule of law. That's not how it is here. In the self-governing constitutional republic, the chief difference is that the majority cannot vote upon or eliminate the rights of the individual. That's different in democracy. Essentially, in a democracy, slavery could be reinstated by a majority vote, and that's not what this country is based upon. Sovereignty is a very misunderstood word. It's a word that many groups in government today will use to paint groups like us as terrorists, which is not true. Sovereignty simply means the highest authority. Every one of us are the highest authority over all of our affairs, all of our decisions, our bodies, and anything we decide to do. The common law is the supreme law of the land. It is the actual Constitution for these United States, the Declaration of Independence, and Supreme Court rulings that support both of those. Supreme Court rulings cannot change the supreme law of the land. They are supposed to uphold and defend the supreme law of the land. This is much different from maritime admiralty law, which is essentially what's overrun this country. Basically, they've tried to turn everything into a corporation. Every one of you are viewed by your government as a corporate entity, a privileged entity that has no rights. The only way to gain your rights is to assert them. I recommend the use of notices, the use of affidavits, and the use of writs. These are the highest tools for the individual who wishes to reclaim their individual rights. Okay. The best place I think to start, to give everyone a good idea of just how much they have lost, is with property. Does anyone here have a copy of their certificate of title to their car today? No one has one? That's okay. You don't actually have to have that. They're all the same. Certificate of title is not title. Certificate of title proves that the state owns your automobile and not you. Through active registration, which is essentially a maritime admiralty abandonment, you have given your property to the state willingly, and now you're asking them to hold it for safekeeping, while you get to continue to use it under a contract. These civil adhesion contracts are where you waive your rights. You do it consensually, even though you don't know it. The way this is done is through the submission of an application of registration. It's a very simple form that contains some very high ramifications and very big implications, but that you unknowingly will sign and give away your rights. One who is not entered into these contracts has just the same right as anyone else to travel with their private property on the nation's commonways. The right to travel has been established by the courts, not just in one or two cases, but in a very impressive wide array of cases. This has been upheld. Rights are something that are not given to you by government or by man. You are born with these. They cannot be taken from you. If someone does try to take them away from you, you have lawful recourse to reclaim your rights. If you waive them by accident, you can you can undo what you have done by your own signed consent simply by submitting a notice to cancel that registration contract. Every form of registration contract is a civil adhesion contract where you waive rights. Whether it is property we're talking about, marriage, the birth of a child, voting, or any other application that says registration on it. All of these are contracts where you're going to be waiving a right for a privilege, a taxable privilege. These are what are called 14th Amendment protections. They are not rights. These are privileges given by government. If it's given to you by government, the grantor can rescind that authority at any time without notice to you. Something that is legal is not necessarily lawful. Something that is lawful should always be legal, but is not always. For the majority of it, when one waives right, they've lawfully given up their ability to exercise that right by representation. Representation is something that is not a right.